He sexually assaulted one of the patients. She had Alzheimer's. Do you remember how old she was?
I do not remember, but I do know she needed to be in a nursing home and was incapacitated.
She was 93 years old. He's 25. He gets her alone. She's got Alzheimer's, and he molests her. This meathead made bail, and because he's like a rock, only dumber, he immediately goes out and drives while smoking dope. He gets arrested. And he came before you for sentencing. Do you remember what sentence you gave him?
I do, and my recollection of the facts is slightly different. My recollection is his DUI arrest was after my sentencing, but regardless, you are correct, he had the DUI. This was a negotiated sentence.
Hello, fellow patriots. Welcome back to the channel. It's great to have you here. Today, we're diving into something that's been bothering a lot of us true Americans. It's a story that perfectly illustrates the dangerous and misguided decisions coming from some of the left-leaning judicial system. And today, we're talking about the shocking case where a judge handed down an outrageously light sentence for a man who committed an absolutely heinous crime. But as a proud American, I'm here to break it down for you, so let's get into it. And before we go any further, don't forget to hit that like button, share, and subscribe to join the movement. Let's stand up for our values together. Senator John Kennedy doesn't hold back. He confronts this judicial nominee, Judge Wildheimer, about a disturbing case where a 25-year-old man, this guy, Brian Labus, assaulted a 93-year-old woman in a nursing home. And get this, the judge handed him just 11 months and 15 days in prison for sexually assaulting an elderly woman with Alzheimer's. Now, I don't know about you, but that is absolutely sickening. I don't care what political party you're from, that's a slap in the face to every American who believes in justice. Let's break this down, folks.
Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judge Wildheimer, am I saying your name right?
You are, thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Who is Brian Labus, L-A-B-U-S? Is that name?
Brian Labus, if I am remembering correctly, since I had 2 years in criminal, about 2,000 cases assigned to me, I believe he was the first human trafficker case we had in Montgomery County. Am I remembering that correctly, Senator?
Well, he was 25 years old. He was a nursing assistant.
Oh, that's a different case. I do recall that one. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, nursing home. He sexually assaulted one of the patients. She had Alzheimer's. Do you remember how old she was?
I do not remember, but I do know she needed to be in a nursing home and was incapacitated.
She was 93 years old. He's 25. He gets her alone. She's got Alzheimer's, and he molests her. This meathead made bail, and because he's like a rock, only dumber, he immediately goes out and drives while smoking dope. He gets arrested. And he came before you for sentencing. Do you remember what sentence you gave him?
I do, and my recollection of the facts is slightly different. My recollection is his DUI arrest was after my sentencing, but regardless, you are correct, he had the DUI. This was a negotiated sentence in this case.
What sentence did you give him?
I do not recall the terms of the negotiation. I do remember it was a negotiated sentence, and
You gave him 11 months and 15 days, didn't you, for assaulting this woman?
If that is what your records show, I have no reason to disagree with that.
And he grinned, according to the news reports. Grinned at you. You remember that?
I do not recall that. I do have recollections of this case, and if I may, Senator, it is a case in which the Commonwealth had...
Yes, ma'am, but I don't want you to take all my time telling me about the case, because I looked at the case. For the DUI, after this meathead assaults a 93-year-old Alzheimer patient, you gave him 11 months and 15 days. For the DUI case, you gave him 3 days to 6 months.
Senator, the
that right?
DUI was not in front of me. I was out of the criminal division by then, and I believe that went to a judge that took my cases when I was transferred to the civil division.
Ms. Perry, tell me the difference between res judicata and collateral estoppel.
Here's what we know. This wasn't just a random assault. This was a man who took advantage of a vulnerable elderly woman. A 93-year-old woman, defenseless, suffering from Alzheimer's. He preyed on her, and what's worse, he gets a slap on the wrist. And here's where things get even more infuriating. This Judge Wildheimer, is not some rookie. She's a seasoned figure in the judicial system, and she admits in the video that the sentence was a negotiated plea. Now, to a lot of us conservatives, this is a huge red flag. A negotiated plea means that the punishment was, in essence, bargained for, meaning this criminal, this monster, didn't even get the full punishment he deserved. Here, Senator Kennedy presses Judge Heimer. He's asking about how the sentence could have been so light. And you know what her excuse is? She says it was because of evidentiary insufficiencies. Now let's stop right there for a second. Evidentiary insufficiencies is just a fancy way of saying, we didn't have enough evidence to give him a proper sentence. But here's the thing, everyone can see what happened. This man assaulted an elderly woman. You don't need a PhD to figure that out. And for her to claim that a plea deal was the only way forward is truly appalling. Here's where I stand, folks. As a proud American and a right-wing patriot, I believe in law and order. I believe in holding criminals accountable. This isn't about being soft on crime or making excuses for people who have no business being out in society. We're talking about a man who committed a brutal, disgusting act. And what does the left want to do? They want to let him off easy. They want to give him a pass because of a plea deal? That's not justice. That's a betrayal of everything we stand for. Now, in the clip, she tries to justify her decision by saying that accepting the plea deal at least brings closure to the victim's family. Well, with all due respect, Judge, closure doesn't come from letting criminals off the hook. Closure comes from justice being served. Closure comes when the full weight of the law is brought down on people who commit these monstrous acts. And as a conservative, I stand firm on the idea that we need a justice system that doesn't coddle criminals. I know a lot of you watching feel the same way. It's not just about one case, this is part of a much bigger problem. Left-wing judges, liberals in positions of power, constantly undermining the rule of law. They're weakening our justice system, and it's only hurting the American people. What happened to standing up for the victims? What happened to punishing the criminals who deserve it? Now, let's talk about what this really means for the future of our country. This case is just one example of the ongoing soft-on-crime mentality that has taken over our courts. Liberal judges are more concerned about sensitivity and restorative justice than about protecting American citizens. This is how we get situations where criminals are let off easy and hard-working, law-abiding Americans feel unsafe in their own communities. Kennedy doesn't let her off the hook here either. He brings up how this same criminal, after the assault, was arrested for DUI and was again treated with leniency. He points out that the same judge who let him off easy for the sexual assault didn't even get to handle the DUI case because she transferred divisions. And I have to agree with Kennedy here. What does it take to make sure someone like this stays behind bars? It's time we as patriots stand up for what's right. We need to demand that our judicial system hold criminals accountable. No more leniency. No more light sentences for heinous crimes. We need judges who will uphold the law, who won't back down when the going gets tough, and who will fight for justice, not political correctness. Patriots, we are in a fight for the soul of our country. And this fight starts in our courts. We cannot let weak, liberal judges continue to undermine the safety of our citizens and let criminals walk free. It's time for a justice system that works for the people, not the criminals. Stand with me, stand with all of us, and let's fight for real justice. Because if we don't, who will? Thanks for tuning in, my fellow patriots. If you believe in standing strong for justice, standing up for our values, and holding criminals accountable, hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video. We need to keep this conversation going. Stay strong, stay vigilant, and God bless America.